Coming to you live from Wayne Szalinski's attic, it's the 10 Point Podcast, Season 4, premiere, episode number 1, whatever you want to call it.
Who would have thought we got to 4 seasons?
And I'm worried.
One, actually.
I'm worried. I have been shrunk, and I am alone in the dark with these two men. First, he spent a lot of time in French class. It's Chris.
French class. Hi.
And if he was my brother, I'd put him up for adoption, and I'd put myself up for adoption. It's Andy.
Hello.
I still don't understand the French class. It was the very last line of the film. I'm sure we'll get into it in a minute, or a minute or two, or half an hour, or long it takes to get there. But I still don't.
He's still waiting for the punchline.
Yeah, exactly. It was the punchline of the film. I don't understand. Anyway, we are the 10 Point Podcast. You can listen to us wherever you listen to podcasts and wherever you watch your YouTube videos. Usually on YouTube, I find. Type in 10 Point Podcast. It's all letters, no numbers. You can find us anywhere and everywhere. Please subscribe, and like, and rate, and review on all these things that you can do on these places, and stick any comments underneath any episodes that you wish to comment on, or contact us on the social medias, Facebook.
We want it season
and
5
on Twitter, 10 Point Podcast again. We do want to get a season 5. We want to reach that 100th episode, which would be the final episode of the season 5. So keep reviews, keep recommendations incoming. Want to hear from you, as in this was a listener pick, a viewer pick. So we want to get some more in the bank. We've got, I don't know, we've certainly got a good few now waiting to be done, and we'll get on to in about 3 episodes time. You'll find out how we're going to be picking between them. But we'll save that for further down the road. 10pointpodcast.com is our website. You can find all your 10 Point Podcast needs on there. Anything special on 10pointpodcast.com this week, Andy?
Aye, by the time you're listening to this, Suicide Squad review will be up, and Jungle Cruise, I would imagine that'll be up as well. And also maybe even our new merch section on the website might be up by then as well. Where you can buy t-shirts that are inspired by the movies that we've done.
Awesome.
Such as this one, if it doesn't go green screeny.
There we go. That's Fifth Element, is that right?
Fifth Element Zorg gun thing. And you can see it properly.
Yeah.
Green screen kicks in.
Green screen, the green t-shirt, yeah. Speaking of movies that we've done, our last episode, if you managed to somehow miss it, it was the event of the summer, was the Season 3 Pointy Awards, going down as one of our best rated episodes we've ever done. A quick tidy up of everything that happened. Chris does not remember anything. Doesn't know what won, who won, or what he even
Who I voted for, yeah, exactly.
So this is a very, very quick wrap-up of what happened. Django won the most votes. So there were 30-ish, something like maybe 20-ish awards we actually voted on. Django won 3 votes, and that was the most. No other film won that many votes. And it was pretty much an even spread across the board. Lots of 2s, lots of 1s in terms of how many awards each film won. The Room won the most awards, but I think...
That's because you put it in every category.
Tommy Wiseau's hair was the good one. Everything else was worse than that. And also The Room and Triple X benefited from being nominated for a singular thing that they were the only thing it was nominated for as well. So they kind of won our secondary awards. But Django was the most successful on the night in terms of voting. And there were 2 films only that won nothing whatsoever. And that was 21 Jump Street and Reign of Fire. They did not win a single point for anything they were involved in at all. 21 Jump Street got quite a few nominations. Reign of Fire was a wee bit on the quiet side, but yeah, they were the 2 losers. Even the Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus won an award that wasn't worst film. I can't remember what it was off the top of my head, but yeah. So Django essentially the winner. Logan Lucky, the best film we've done ever. So this season we'll try and beat Logan Lucky's score. What have we been watching in the last wee while? I've stretched mine to pretty much since the end of the last season, so we didn't really talk about this on the pointies. So I've got quite a few. But we'll start with Chris, since you've not said so much far. What have you watched in the last 3 weeks, if you want to go that far?
Well, I've watched a few things, but for life I can't remember most of them. I did, most recently I watched Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle. It was on TV the other day. I think it's the second time I've actually watched it. It's a good film. That's Rock and Kevin Hart. I've got the
first one there, isn't it? The first Rock and Kevin Hart one, yeah.
Technically the sequel to Jumanji, but the first of their wee series that they've got going. But yeah, The Rock and Kevin Hart have got crazy chemistry. They're fucking brilliant.
It is funny how for about, I don't know, 30 episodes consecutively, we mentioned The Rock and Kevin Hart. We've never done one Rock movie, right? And then Kevin Hart's never
Yeah.
appeared, I think.
Yep.
But yeah.
Well, thumbs up, a good film. I would suggest watching it.
Anything else that you want to recommend?
I
or-
can't remember for the life of me. The rest of them. I've had a long memory blank for summer.
Yeah. Andy, you watch the most new stuff, so you must have hit a few things over the
Yeah.
summer movie blockbuster period.
Forever Purge, shite. Don't watch that. Jolt, that's pretty good. Amazon, that was a surprise one. Very not twisty because it's very obvious, predictable, but it's still a fun watch. Watched The Fear Streets, mostly alright, nothing special. What other shit did I watch? Loads of
I only
shit.
watched the first Fear Street and it was very average.
Yeah.
So I'm pensive to try the second one, but I quite like the look of it. But you were like,
Yeah.
the first one might be better.
Black Widow. Black Widow, that was pretty shite. And also on movie news, Scarlett Johansson's suing Disney, so good luck with that one.
She's
Yeah.
Disney, is she?
She's suing Disney. Go on the website, you might find some more about that. What other shit have I watched? I've watched loads of shit. Nothing stands out. I would say Jolt is the one. Jolt's the one which is like, actually, that film's pretty good.
I watched Black Widow as well. I liked it, but Andy and I discussed it in the time in between that it's fine for what it is, but they just should have made it back when it mattered. Like it doesn't. It's needless now. Totally unnecessary anymore. I tried to watch the purges that I'd missed out on to catch up to watch the new one, but the politics one, the election year, and then the first purge both were so average and bad that it put me off watching the new one, and Andy told me it was bad. So
Don't
Purges I'm
watch
done
the new
with
one,
you.
shite.
What I did get into watching was when I was doing my Saw rewatch, watching all the Saws, Escape Room kept coming up as a recommendation
Oh yeah,
for me.
Escape Room 2 is pretty good.
But-
That's a recommendation.
Yeah, I quite liked the first one. The first one
Yeah.
was pretty good. It didn't change my life or anything like that, but I quite enjoyed what it was doing. So I might give the new one.
Yeah, I
a
like the
chance.
second one.
Andy recommended that we did not watch Space Jam: A New Legacy.
Oh yeah,
because
that
it
was another shit one. That was awful.
And Andy recommended that. I just watched the first one to a bit of nostalgia, and I really enjoyed the first one again.
Don't
I
watch the
forgot
second
how
one.
great it was. I actually quite enjoyed the second one. I
Oh,
thought
you
it
did,
was
did you?
alright. I
Ah.
quite enjoyed it. Yeah.
It's rock CGI right there. It's awful.
Yeah. The what do you call him?
Don
War
Cheadle.
Machine when he goes Don Cheadle. His CGI is very iffy. The best bit though is they absolutely do perfectly. I won't spoil it, but the halftime in the basketball game
Aye.
is perfect. I thought that was amazing. But yeah, I'm not as. I know Chris, have you watched it yet?
I haven't watched it yet, no.
On my recommendation, give it a look if you like the first one, but don't
No.
expect it to.
It'll ruin the
amazing.
first one. That's my recommendation
one-
right there.
The one thing I've watched that no one's mentioned is another Amazon one. I watched the Tomorrow War.
I'm
new-
just
Oh,
gonna
yeah.
say that's the
I
film
watched that
remember.
ages ago. That's pretty good.
Yeah, I quite liked
I
it.
liked
I thought
Yeah.
it was pretty good. It way outgrew my estimations. Like I thought it was going to be pretty boring and or pretty standard fare, but no, I actually thought it was.
To
pretty
put that
good
on the
then.
same level as Jolt, Tomorrow War is very predictable. You know exactly what's going to happen. You know who's who, and Jolt's exactly the same. So I feel like Amazon have this problem where they put these big actors in, which are got bigger roles than they should have.
Right. Yeah.
And yeah, I feel like that's the problem. But banger film, and they're getting a sequel, I think, as well.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, that's what I've seen as well. But yeah, I quite enjoyed it. Yeah, I don't know how successful it's been, but if they are already getting a sequel, must have done okay. And there we go. Lot covered there. It's been a long summer or a short summer. I don't know. I've been mainly watching the football, I think. But on to the reason for the podcast today. And as always, oh yeah, our format is pretty much the same. I think numbers like 1 through 10. I think 9 of them are the same. 1 has changed, and then there's little bits and pieces here and there. So if you're used to what our season 3 format is, it's pretty much the same. We think we may have found a recipe for somewhat success. So on with point number 1. What is the point?
I would say strap in for later on though.
Oh, yeah. Get ready. Keep it a secret. Point 1. The point today. 1989 sci-fi family adventure comedy Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. Brought to us by Walt Disney Buena Vista Pictures and Silver Screen Partners 3. I could not find any film that we've done so far that was by either of these production companies, so this is a new company for us, but it is still Disney, who we have slightly touched on before. Film written by Stuart Gordon, Brian Usna, Ed Naha, and Tom Schulman. Not a lot to say about these chaps. Stuart Gordon, famous for writing Reanimator, which seems like quite a popular film from way back when. But Tom Schulman, the last guy I listed, wrote Dead Poets Society and the film What About Bob, a Bill Murray film from the 1990s. So they're pretty much the big hits. But all of them are involved in subsequent Honey, I Shrunk, Honey, I Blew Up, Shrunk This and That, other films involving the sort of premise of this film. So they're involved going forwards. Film directed by Joe Johnston. The first film that he ever directed. He went on to direct The Rocketeer, Jumanji, funny as luck would have it, October Sky, Jurassic Park 3, and Captain America: The First Avenger. So some success.
That's why I recognise his name.
Yeah, some bangers of action movies in there, but I've not left much out. That's quite a large percentage of what he in fact directed. He was a whiz at special effects in the early 1990s, the late 80s, early 90s. Probably why he kind of got involved in this one as director for the first thing he ever did. Honey, I Shrunk the Kids stars the Shids. Sean Connery there. Rick Moranis plays Wayne, famous for Ghostbusters, Little Shop of Horrors, Spaceball, and Parenthood. But co-starring with him, we have covered it before, so I won't go too far into depth. Matt Frewer, I think is how you say his name. Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, Hercules, Watchmen, and Pixels are his big four that he is popular for. In Watchmen, he plays Moloch. I don't remember the guy with the pointy ears who was the villain. Yeah. And I look, who is he playing Pixels? And the character he plays in Pixels is Max Headroom, because Matt Frewer is Max Headroom. I did not put this character on the gentleman on his head.
I recognise his voice more than his face.
So there you go, that would explain it. And at the time of filming Honey, because he was 30 years old in this film, Matt Frewer was. At the age of 30, he was 14 years older than his oldest son at the time of filming in this film. But he carries off looking like he's, 50 quite well for a 30-year-old. And the third member of the cast, Marcia Strassman, that's the wife of Rick Moranis in the film, famous for Welcome Back, Kotter, then Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, and all the other Honey, I Shrunks and Blues Up, and then the Tremors TV series is her last one. So this is pretty much the peak of her career, and we'll never probably touch her again, so I better mention her as one of the stars.
Never touch people without consent.
There we go. Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. On a budget of $18 million,
He's gone.
Opened in the United States for $14 million. Its final US gross, $131 million. Worldwide, $223 million this made in 1989. Quite a success, as you would maybe say. That's why it got 2 sequels, a TV show, a reboot that's coming soon, a ride at Disneyland, and that's why it's a lot of money in Honey, I Shrunks. So yes, very, very successful.
It's even got a game Microsoft called Grounded.
I know, I'm an expert in shrinkage now.
First soundbite of the season. 23rd of June 1989, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids came out. Won only one award, and that was the BAFTA for Best Special Visual Effects. It was nominated for about 10 other awards, not anything massive. It was the big one, and it won it. On to the synopsis of the film, and one of our top 2 lads, Nick, is back with a synopsis.
Hey, Nick.
What?
Nick loved it.
About, yes, he said, I don't know, unconfirmed at this time if it was in fact young Nick falling in the bowl of cereal. On the brink of perfecting his state-of-the-art matter-shrinking machine, the suburban paterfamilias and indefatigable inventor, Professor Wayne Szalinski, realizes that his device truly works. I think Nick's had the thesaurus out. Kids and their friends. And their friends, I don't think that's true. Now, to return to the relative safety of their home while being reduced to a mere quarter-inch size, the minuscule humans must venture out into the dense and perilous landscapes of their now immense backyard, a hostile environment where nearly everything spells trouble. Can the kids exit the green maze of grass in one piece? Very good.
He saw you coming. He's like, right, Bruce is going to pick this film. Here we go. Let's make it difficult for him.
Any syllables possible. Yes, and for the first time ever in the history of 10 Point Podcast, this was not picked by any of the panel. This was picked by our listener, James, who was the first man to have his pick come out of the machine. So on to point number 2, the high points. This is what we thought the best bits and best things were of the movie. And I throw it to whoever picked it first, but nobody picked it. So Chris, why don't you go first?
Well, I'm going to say it's been a long time since we've had one of these, but the opening credits, you don't get crazy opening credits like that anymore.
I know.
And like
Ever
I think the
since
last
City
one I
Slickers.
think was a Pink Panther. They're
City
great.
Slickers.
It's great fun just watching it.
Yeah, City Slickers was our
So
last
what?
episode. That's happened.
Yeah, City Slicker says I love these little animation things. Normally I hate
Yeah.
I normally hate long slow credits, but when there's shit going on and it's fun, I just like it.
Yeah.
This one was particularly good, like the toaster when the names were in like the wires and stuff like that, trying to find it.
It went on too long. It was unnecessary. I would much rather have spent the time that they used for the credits doing more little people things in the film, because I think absolutely everything they did in the wee animation didn't happen in the film. Like none of that happened. They were they were shrunk people, but they didn't go in a toaster in the movie. They didn't do all the. Like, I think a typewriter was there as well. All the things in the animation didn't happen in the film.
Delete scenes.
So it's exactly. It's like a little pre-cartoon thing. Actually, which reminds me, before we're going any further, when this came out in cinemas, obviously in a Disney film, they had a short on beforehand that you get with all Disney movies in the cinema. At least you used to. I don't know if it still happens. And the short that was before Honey, I Shrunk the Kids was a Roger Rabbit one, but it was the first Disney-produced Roger Rabbit thing that came out after Who Framed Roger Rabbit. So some people suggest that the reason this movie was so successful was that they kind of could co-promote, as in, see more of Roger Rabbit. Come and watch Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, and you'll see this little cartoon beforehand. So this way, you got Who Framed Roger Rabbit, or part 2, if you want to call it, and then this other cartoon about people being shrunk, and then the actual movie started. But yeah, I thought it went on too long. It was good. And actually, I double checked as I went through. I was like, yep, none of the things I noticed in the cartoon actually happened in the film.
I do agree that they should have done a little more shrinkage stuff. Fucking hell, I need to change that. Small stuff.
That's why they did 3 more films and a TV
Like that,
series.
yeah.
Aye, but I don't know, we'll do better in this film, I think.
My first high point. I don't have many high points, but this way, I felt it was quite difficult to nail down that was a good bit of the film. So I'm kind of going for kind of sections, and my first high point is just the laser looks cool. But I thought it did look pretty good. You'd imagine now, if they are to make this, I think it's called Shrunk, I think it's just going to be called, or at least at the moment, they could pretty much put the same laser in, and it'd be like, you could sell toys of that, and it looks like someone would actually build that in their attic. So I think the laser itself, the laser beam, a bit iffy, a bit 1980s, but the actual look of the physical thing, and his little mini toy one that he'd made, which is quite impressive that he was able to make an exact replica, like a 5th size, whatever it would be, a 10th size.
To kind of expand on that point, my first high point is the house as a set, because I like sets. Like everything in there, like all these gadgets and all that, he's like, it does set the scene that he's just a wacky, nutty professor type dude. It's like everything's automated. But my first high point is completely different, is the dog. That dog is amazing. It's probably the best actor in this entire film.
Oh, well.
I think we're going to do the best actor dog route, which I would say I think still Eddie from Frasier is still better than the dog in this. But yeah, that type of dog, I'm not a big dog kind of species knower, but that's the kind of dog they always seem to get in films. It must be very good for training and singing and acting with. So, but yeah, I thought he was a good boy. I'd give him a biscuit, a giant biscuit.
Well, I'll go into it. The sets when the kids get shrunk are fantastic. Like, it actually makes them look like they got shrunk. It's just I've got to say, a testament to whoever did all that stuff. It's fucking brilliant.
The Lego brick one's the one that stands out. Yeah, I don't know why the gigantic Lego.
I quite like the grass shoots as well. Like totally cheesy how they cut it.
When they open the bag and then you see them slide down and they're standing in the grass, they just look tiny. It's great.
And that's when the CGI works. Because when they're in the attic and the CGI goes small on the wood and stuff like that, it looks a bit shit flicking between them. But when they're in the garden and it flicks back and forth, it's pretty much blended in so well until you get a weird flying bug and then the CGI kind of lets it down a bit.
Yeah, the flying. I almost put it as my moral of the story. I did struggle to find a lesson that was trying to be taught by this film, which was when you're small, everything is a slide. Because I do feel as they made it through the garden, they're just sliding down things all the time. They're just so good to be like a quarter of an inch tall, however big they Yeah, I feel like there must be more. I've got the mini parts is what I've written down. They are definitely the high. Even him in the serial is really good. I thought it was really. It looked like one of the better. Like
Yeah.
when you see the Rick Moranis and him being
Yeah.
small, that looked better than some of the other ones where you can see a small person on screen. I thought it
That
was
put
good
me
as
off of Cheerios for so long.
well.
Like, honest to God, I used to love
Honey.
honey nut the loops and Cheerios, and then watching this as a kid, I couldn't eat them because I would be looking at every spoonful just in case. Genuinely, it's terrifying. Put me off for so long. Now I don't even bother. Just fucking waft both of them down. Fuck the kids if I've eaten them.
Think of any people you've eaten. Yeah.
My other, like my high point, the thing this film does well is Anty, the little ant. Like, comes
That's
out of
my next one.
nowhere, you instantly fall in love with it, and then it dies about 5 minutes later. But you've already gained a really good connection with that ant.
I immediately took pity on it because they find an ant, and the three lads is first approach is, let's go kick shit out of it. What? Why? What are you doing? It's like, I don't know what it does. It's on its own. It's just a baby. Let's get it. It's like, what are you doing?
Like, I've put like the animatronics for the ant and scorpion were great, but that scorpion scared the shit out of me as a kid. It
Oh,
gave me
yeah.
nightmares. I couldn't watch it for a long time.
It looks like it's tiny. Like, I always thought scorpions are pretty big things. Like, that was like,
No, they're like this. It's lucky if the size of your hand.
yeah, that was like it was fighting next to a Lego brick, and the Lego bricks are about that. And this scorpion was like smaller than the Lego brick. It was the tiniest little thing you've ever seen.
I thought it was big to them.
I'm like, I did have a quick Google. Can you get scorpions in your garden? And yes, you can. Like in kind of southern Western America, you can get scorpions all over the place.
Maybe it was a
Apparently-
baby scorpion as well, because he seemed like
Like-
he didn't really know what he was doing, trying to eat humans.
But,
Uh,
yeah, that was my last high point,
My
unfortunately.
next one, what Chris has got behind him on his video. That's my next high point. Wayne avoiding standing on the garden in his little.
Oh yeah, aye.
It does
the
raise
whirly
a lot of fucking questions for me, though.
Well, a lot of people had the main high point is when the neighbor notices him being like a Maddie in the garden,
Yeah.
and then the Bursteins show up, and it always makes me laugh when someone is doing, you know what the guy is doing and why, but just a random stranger walks up and is like, why is this guy doing what he is doing? But yes, what are
I
your
did
questions?
Like,
kind
how
of,
did he get the counterbalance?
Star Wars flyover.
He must have done
Yeah.
he must have done a hell of an explain. He's a scientist, so he'd probably be like,
Yeah.
I weigh blank.
Yeah,
What
but
weighs
how
that
did he get the
much?
counterbalance to where it was? Like, it just seemed odd. Like, you would have had to kind of step on the grass to put that near the
Yeah.
middle of the grass. You would have had to put the rope over the other side. There's a lot of random shit that we just have to kind of gloss over for that contraption to work.
There's a lot of lost time in this film, as in
Yeah.
it's 9 o'clock in the morning, but it might be earlier because the neighbor's shouting, "Stop making so much noise this early on a Saturday," and then pretty much by the time the wife gives up at the mall, it's dark and the two of them have got the lamps out.
Yeah.
So there is about at least 12 plus hours in there for them to do all this. So he must have, I reckon, hour and a half to 2 hours he spent building his contraption to try and look at the grass. Chris is out. You out of high points, Andy?
I think I'm going to give another high point to the, what do you call him, the other guy's dad.
Big Ross Thompson.
Oh,
Aye.
Big Russ.
he is
he
my
is-
last high point.
He is just hilarious.
I've got
like-
Big Ross Thompson : good guy. Like I feel like this film is
Yeah.
the story of him, his redemption. I think.
Yeah.
How much stuff did you take camping, by the way?
I know.
Absolutely packed.
Yeah, but remember when we went camping, we did that as well. I took eggs and everything.
We lasted a day.
It's because my
Disappointed,
Nutella
I think.
froze.
But yeah, like from the get go, he has a certain charisma that stands out. Is it Matt Frewer? That's what I called him. Matt
feel
Frewer,
like-
yeah.
If not Eddie Murphy, Jim Carrey was around at the time, he is Jim Carrey.
Yeah, I was going to say that. He's very Jim Carrey-like. He's
But
very
very
much.
Reeled back a little bit. Jim Carrey would be a bit more
Ah.
kind of crazy. But yeah, you're
Yeah.
right. There is an element of that there. I did read in my quick look at the trivia that John Candy turns down the lead role in this film and recommended Rick Moranis, like he did on Ghostbusters. He did the same thing there. But also that Chevy Chase turned down the lead, but I could really see Chevy Chase in the role of Big Ross Thompson, the neighbor. Like I feel like he probably turned down that role because I think the guy even dresses like he does in the Vacation movies. Like it looks like that would definitely be a Chevy Chase kind of part. Yeah. But I think he did alright with it. But yeah, this story, he is the I don't know, the emotional center to this film is the dad and all this stuff. I thought, yeah, he's my accidental hero for this film. I don't think he was meant to be the guy, like, because obviously essentially sacrifices himself at the end as well.
Yeah.
To be like, zap me first. That's then. No more high points.
No more high points.
That's me. Yep.
On to the lows then. Andy, why don't you kick us off on the low points?
I'm not going to bash it too hard. However, the low point has to be the CGI. But I reckon in 1989 this would have blown my mind off if I watched it.
Won the BAFTA. So
see, I feel bad for like bad-mouthing movies back then because they're limited by the technology.
Yeah.
And I feel like,
but
it's not that bad.
Comparing it to what Bruce said, the cereal scene where Big Rick Moranis, it looks perfect. I wouldn't fault that at all. But then suddenly when he's looking down at the garden, it just looks like they've put like him on top. Like it looks bad. Yeah. And then you've got things like the ant is amazing animatronics. Just have that to then CGI it fighting with the scorpion. They've literally like put them right next to each other, and it ruins it.
Even the stop motion is a bit iffy for that because they must do stop motion and CGI that in. Doesn't look as good as even like classic stop motion stuff does. So it doesn't look that great. I do find it's the flying aspect didn't work as well when anytime the bees were involved. It was a bit iffy as well. But yeah, let's not go too hard in on the CGI. But no. Yeah, it's a weakness nowadays, I would say. What about you, Chris?
My first one is the Wayne. I can't remember what she's called. Is it Diane? Their little argument subplot I felt was completely unnecessary. Like her being a successful like realtor and him being a down in the dumps inventor works on its own. The whole them having an argument and her living at her mum's for a night, I just didn't care. As soon as they came back, they were back to normal.
I'll be honest, that passed me by, that storyline. I had no idea that was a thing. I don't know what I was doing when that was being discussed, but yeah. But yeah, I thought the film worked without it, not knowing that it was happening. My next low point is just his little rage that he has on the laser when his laser first doesn't work quite near the start of the film. It looks like he's not raging on it, as in I don't want to break this too much. Despite the fact I want to break this and I don't know if that's because in the mind of the inventor he doesn't actually want to break it, or whether it's Rick Moranis like this machine costs X amount of money. I don't want to have to break it, so they have to rebuild it for the next take or whatever. But yeah, that was my first early one. But beyond that, I don't think I've actually got much in the way of low points. Everything else is just questions. So I don't know if Andy, if you've got any of the actual low
I've got
points.
like a low point that'll probably lead into one of your questions. It's literally it's my only thing that's always annoyed me about this film. And I know he's a brilliant scientist and everything like that, and he's made a shrink ray, right? However, still, how fast did he work out what he did with the kids? Because that would have took me fucking days going, my sofa's gone. Then it's like, all right, that's crushed. Wait there, it shrunk all the kids. To instantly going, holy shit, I bet I've swept them up to, yep, they're in the back garden. I feel like that was way too quick.
That was quick. I think I might have noticed them quicker. Like, even if they weren't making a noise, I think they weren't.
Yeah.
In some angles, they weren't that small. Like, you could see the sofa when you were standing up.
Yeah.
Therefore, you could see them running. Like, I would say if I'm sitting on a chair or standing in a room and there's a bug crawling on the floor, it would kind of draw my eye.
I'll notice a spider from 10 meters away.
My eye, right? I'm pretty sure I could see my kids if they were shrunk running along the thing. So.
Yeah, and they're trying to get your attention. So yeah, but what you say? Without them there, it's like, oh wait a minute, the plan of following where they went really quickly, and to spend hours looking in the garden when they could have been back in the house at this point, like making a big sign on the table, all four of them holding a felt tip pen, trying to write small, and they're still in the garden with it. I don't know if that leads into one of my questions. Okay, it sort of does. So it's not so much a question, this one, but anyway, the father and then both the mother and the father spend hours looking in the garden but it seems like from the children's perspectives, they never notice that the parents are there. As in, Rick Moranis is
Yeah.
doing loops above them, and that's over that stone, which they make reference to. It's like, oh, that's the stone in the center of the garden. I don't know how easy it is. Obviously, they could be like, oh, they couldn't get on top of it. If they got on top of the stone, he would have seen them. But also, you never ever think, like, let's just stand in one clearing spot
Yeah.
and just be like,
Let's
"We're
make a
here.
big
Oh,
fire with the sticks.
yeah, he's over there. Let's head towards where he is looking for us." But yeah, the two storylines don't actually seem to be connected at any point when they're doing the garden search. But yeah, on that subject, would you eat the cookie?
Yep.
Is my question.
Well, yeah, you can't be forced. Depends how hungry you are, but yeah, I would.
Yeah, but then I was thinking, of course I would. But I was like, but would it physically be possible? Because like your like digestive system is shrunk too. So would any part of that cookie be able like to be digested by your body if it's that small? Like I feel like think of the sugar content that would be in like a bit of that. It'd be
Yeah,
quite
fine.
high.
Bugs eat it all the time. They're fine.
Like you could literally get
He
a
blowing
lump of
Chris's
sugar.
mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking.
Yeah, I'm not
Literally,
sure.
one grain of that sugar would fucking put you into a hypo.
Exactly, yeah. So I'm not sure they'd be able to. I think I still would, given the situation. Like, say it'd been 12 hours since I'd eaten. And I'm like, here's a massive cookie. There's no way the bit in the middle's touched the ground. That'll not be poison. I'd be going straight in. But I think it could be deadly to me.
I've only got one more. It's right at the very end, like we've mentioned before. Nick getting the French class joke. It's like they could have just left it as him being completely oblivious to just him, right? Like when he finds out going French class, it just left it at that. But no, they had to do the. Oh, I get it.
Is
It
it
was
a
just
French
cheesy.
kiss joke? Is that what I'm
Yeah.
supposed to think? Right.
Yeah.
But that's not how you French kiss, and also not how you give CPR.
No.
So it doesn't actually work. So I don't know. Yeah, the first time the
It
joke
just
was made,
annoyed me.
yeah, it's not funny. It feels like it's a joke for kids, for the kids to then laugh and point at the screen and go, "Oh, they've said that it's the French class again," sort of thing. That one joke was like, "Oh, it's annoying." But my last one, another question, kind of, which is one of these movie breaking questions.
Oh Jesus.
So the laser, right. You shoot it at a thing, it makes it small. You shoot it at, right, I'll start with that. Why does it work on their clothes and them? Like, so you shoot the clothes. Why don't the clothes just shrink? Why is it both? And then for the theory being, well, it's because they're connected. You're shooting at it. Why doesn't the whole house then just get shrunk? Because everyone's standing on the floor.
Because the little computer screen is like auto targeting. So it's like,
Right.
we're targeting that.
This
So,
area. This
yes.
space. So why did the shoes go? Because they're included in it. Like, what happens where it meets the ground? It's just like,
well, because it's scanned out. It's like Photoshop. When you cut something out, you just go, I'm cutting that template out.
So why is it not just the front? Why does the back go as well then?
Because it gets the whole shape.
Because that's a killer, then. They just get split in half. Did you see it?
I don't know how lasers work.
Then it does 4 kids in one go. At like when it brings them back big again. Like they're all holding hands in that. It does all 4 of them in one go, and it's like,
Yeah.
is it just because they're holding hands?
Yeah, it's because it's scanned out. The little computer.
Yeah.
He's got a little monitor there.
Yeah.
He's targeted onto it.
Okay. And my second question.
No, I was gonna say he mentioned that it was like a matter thing. Like
Yeah.
maybe it only works in living matter, but it works in the couch.
Yeah, exactly.
Which
The couch is the other one.
Just proves my theory because Apple technically is a living thing.
And
but it's
nobody
attached
selects
to
the couch. Nobody says cut out that couch shape. The baseball just goes boof.
Yeah, it does it itself.
That couch. So why doesn't the whole house, why doesn't the whole city town ever go at that point? And then the other one, I don't know how long it's taken. He's getting frustrated. He can't get his machine to work. He finds out that it works by putting a baseball. I'm still not sure how that bit works. But then in a matter of a minute, he's like, I just do this and that'll make everyone big again. And it works. It's like, I'm not sure. He's a scientist here. I'm not a scientist. Just all of a sudden, okay, well, I finally, after 3 years of getting it to shrink things, now got it to shrink things. In 5 minutes, I can make it big things. Make it, blow up?
Just say reverse.
Yeah.
Make big, not make small.
Yeah, I don't think that's necessarily how it works. But yeah, and it also, I'm assuming we believe that his neighbour isn't quite full size again because his hat's too big. But
Yeah.
so he hasn't quite perfected it. But yeah, it just kind of annoyed me that it was like, all of a sudden, oh yeah, I know.
Oh, that reminds me. I've got like a Mandela effect. I always thought one of them fell into a dog poo.
Okay.
I don't know why. I was
Is that
watching it. I don't know, it might be in another film, but I always had in my head that one of them fell into a dog poo. It might have just been that mucky river. And then I always thought that wee Ross, when he got put back up, was then bigger than Big Ross. But again, I'm remembering the film wrong.
Maybe, yeah, sounds like it. Unless you were like, maybe Chris at age 5 watching this film, just immediately, what would happen if they found a poo?
I always thought he fell and landed into a poo, but it was Nick as well. I don't know why. And that's what I was maybe disgusted at the fact that he was in the bowl of cereal because he'd been in poo.
Right.
I'm obviously remembering the film wrong. I must be getting two films.
Unless you edit this out. I don't know.
Deleted scene, that's what it is.
Deleted scene again, yeah. We better move on. I think we've covered all the highs and lows. Nobody seems to have anything else. On to the stats, our statistics. I've kept track of our usual ones. Shockingly, in this Disney movie, there wasn't a single swear the entire time. That doesn't come as too much of a surprise to anybody. I'm not even. And then Andy wasn't keeping track of shits, and luckily there weren't any because Chris also there wasn't the one he was expecting to see in the film. Explosions, none. He did throw a cigarette and it was kind of explodey, but it wasn't really.
Didn't the apple explode?
Yeah, I would say the apple exploded.
I totally bet he did it twice, didn't he? Apples. Explosions. There were 2 explosions.
I got curious done.
There you go. Chris has got a head start on me, but we'll see how he gets on later on. See if he's missed anything later on. Deaths, 1. Anty died.
Oh, that's heartbreaking.
Keeping our dead animal trend going. He is an animal. He died. There were also other dead bugs lying around. In the initial plan for this film, it was going to be called Teeny Weenies, which is a terrible name for a film. So I'm glad they changed that. There were going to be 5 kids and one was going to die. So they changed that. They got rid of that, which I thought would have been a nice kid-friendly film. These 5 kids get shrunk and one's dead. But yeah, child death initially in this film, but they changed it. It's been many a year since I've seen this. I've only seen it once before, which never earlier on. I'm assuming we'd all seen it, and I'm assuming it was all a while ago the last time we saw it.
I'm sure I watched it quite recently, actually, when it came on to Disney Plus.
There you go. I counted the shrinks. How many things were shrunk? 7. The 2 bits of furniture, the 4 kids, and Big Russ. And then I counted the blown ups, and there were 6. The 4 kids, little Big Russ, as in Big Russ when he was little, got big, and then the dog biscuit at the end. But at no point did I see
the big chicken.
The turkey.
The big turkey?
The turkey on the table.
Was it at the end as well?
Aye. Yeah. There's a massive turkey on the table.
I was looking at the giant dog bowl and it kind of caught my eye. So another blown up, 7. I'm glad you guys are keeping track of this, but I did not ever see any note of the furniture getting made big again. His squashed furniture that he had. I think he just binned it. And then finally, did they say the thing? Did they say Honey, I Shrunk the Kids?
No.
He paraphrased it.
Exactly.
No, he did say Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
I thought this was an absolute dead cert. I thought, what more do you want from a title to be saying the thing? But he did not say Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. He just said I Shrunk the Kids. There was no honey at the beginning for some reason. So I don't know why they didn't call this I Shrunk the Kids. Because he doesn't say Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. But yeah, they did not say the thing in this film, unbelievably. Stats. I can't remember what we agreed. So this is a surprise to me. Chris, statistics.
I can't remember. Yeah, I counted 3 utterly pointless inventions. Right, the solar-powered coffee maker. What's wrong with just a normal coffee maker? Like, the cat clock. I mean, what did he do to alter it? That cat already makes a noise.
Did it speak the time? Is that what it did?
Yeah, I think it did.
I don't know. It just went meow. Anyway, my final one was the weird finger on the phone.
Yeah.
What's wrong with just hanging the phone up?
Yeah, what did the phone do not on the hook that was different to it being on the hook?
I don't know. Like when you picked it up, the finger went up. When you put it down, it went down. But it was just like, what's wrong with just putting it down on the thing?
Because they sat the phone literally just right in front of it on something, but I don't know what the something was. It was weird.
Everything else kind of worked and was quite ingenious, and the lawnmower, apart from having to follow it around, was quite cool. But
yeah.
And I counted.
The current day actual inventions have surpassed. Like,
yeah.
Imagine that. Well, nowadays, I'm assuming that's something that exists. I don't have one.
Yeah, but grass cutters. Yeah. I counted only 5 different kind of bugs: the dead fly, the butterfly, the bee, the ant, and the scorpion. Is that a bug?
Yeah,
we'll count that. Yeah. So 5 bugs for the fact that they were walking around with the bugs were.
Yeah. What about you, Andy? Stats.
Right, well, I'm not really doing stats, but from now on, I'm going to pick the best pornographic scene.
I forgot you said that.
As was touched on,
He's
we're
gone.
lucky with the bacon and the Pointy Award debut. Yes, Andy's.
Right.
Good luck. I'm not sure how you're going to manage it here, but good luck.
So, picture this. You're just randomly walking through. Guys, Chris joking. Oof, right, anyway. Just you're walking through some grass, and then suddenly you see a cookie the size of a building.
Of course, yeah.
And just when they all jump on it, because that's exactly what I would do. Just grab your hand, get the quite creamy stuff, and just smush it all in your face. It was pretty pornographic, that scene.
Well, on a couple of levels, yeah.
You
But-
try to like dig through the cream
Yeah,
to the other side.
I think I would swim through that cream. I'd be in that cream, covered in But yeah, totally is. It's up there with Sizzling Bacon, which is where the pornography came from back in the last season.
Yeah.
But this was my favorite pornographic scene here. It was just them finding that scene. It's just like, oh, that moment.
Yeah.
That's
yeah,
it.
exactly.
That's your swing moment there.
I can't think of anything that would beat it certainly, because most certainly the bacon that was cooked in this film was not pornographic whatsoever. That was one howling looking breakfast.
Yeah,
Although the big turkey did look kind of good.
Dog
it
biscuit.
did.
Cool. Stats done with. I think that's us done the stats. Look forward to that in the next episode. On to point 5, the 10-point podcast quiz,
Oh shit.
and it's back to me being the quiz master
Ah,
again.
Relax for once.
So Chris does not have to keep track of all the bits and pieces it does. Andy does not have to go down his madness routes that he went to. As Chris does, I have named the quiz, and get ready for this. You'll never see it coming. This quiz is called Honey, I Shrunk the Quiz.
Oh.
Like, you see what I did there? And it's a keen-eyed and keen-eared watching the movie quiz, as in I just went through the film and thought, these guys aren't paying enough attention. Let's humiliate them on the podcast. So, I'm not falling for it like what you guys did. You can decide who wants to go first, and you can fight over it because the questions are even. Like there's some hard, there's some easy, but it's balanced. So who goes first doesn't always get easier. Who goes second? I've kind of made it even. So who wants to go first? Who wants to go second?
Chris.
We'll go alphabetically first. Oh, fine, I'll go first.
Right. Okay. Chris related. So Chris is first. Andy is second. Christopher, first question. Can you name me something that is on the Szalinski's refrigerator? I need one of the things that were on the refrigerator.
A magnet.
Can you be more
bullshit.
specific?
One of his designs that's stuck with a magnet.
No.
Electric
I'll give you
A
one
fridge
more
magnet.
attempt.
An Apple magnet.
No, incorrect. Things on his fridge. You had a list of dinosaur, a taco, a tomato, a spaceman, a fish, an egg, a
I said
rocket,
tomato, I'm
a
sure.
bird, some sort of pancake or toast thing. I couldn't think of what it was. A cheeseburger, a koala with a picture of its paws, and a note for Amy. All those were on his fridge, and you were unable to name me any of them. Andy, first question number 1. Amy alerts her father for his breakfast. Can you name a button that was on the machine that wasn't for a meal? As in, I don't want breakfast, lunch, or dinner. Can you name me another button that was on that?
Ah, shit. Sex.
Incorrect. That was not one of the options.
I can't remember. I guessed like a phone call or something.
Yes. Phone was the first one, and later on you could see a different angle. It says "come down" and it says "new message."
Ah.
No, it was not.
It was worth a punt.
Second questions. I've got a tiebreaker at the end if we need it, so don't worry. Draws
0-0.
on my watch. Chris, can you name me the family's dog?
Pork.
Correct. We've got a right answer. Andy, can you name me the neighbour's cat?
Ah.
It's only
You wee
mentioned
bell
once.
end.
He was, but that was not his name.
Nah, no idea.
Spike was his name. Only once in the neighbour's garden was he actually named it.
Oh,
So 1-0 to Chris after 2 rounds. Next question for Chris. The kids have to walk across the garden. To the nearest mile, can you tell me what the full-size equivalent of their walk is?
No, it says like 62 miles or something.
Incorrect. They had to walk 3.2 miles.
Ah!
3 was the answer.
It would have
Later
felt
on-
for me. It would have been 63 miles.
Later on, Wayne guesses 10 miles, but he was wrong. Nick
Oh.
had worked out on his calculator that it was only
Did
3.
they not mention 62 or something at one point?
Possibly, I don't know, but it was 3.2 was what he said. I don't know. Maybe he
Oh,
misheard.
okay.
Andy, to tie things up, where are the Burstein's escrow papers?
In the briefcase.
Correct.
Ah!
Good one.
I know this get passed over, but I knew that one.
Very good. All right, one each. Next question. Chris. Specifically, what reason did Big Ross Thompson give to the Foresters for them not being able to make the trip?
The wife's plumbing.
The wife's plumbing is what I was looking for. Very good. Andy, keep it level. What does Wayne use to counterbalance himself in his hammock whirligig device?
An old school square television with
He
a back
does.
on
He
it.
uses a couple other monitors, I think, on top, but I've got a TV as the answer. So we're 2-2. You've got a question each and a tiebreaker if we need it. Chris, can you complete this famous Big Ross Thompson saying? The bigger the man, the bigger the...
The bigger the man, the bigger the moon.
Correct.
Ah,
Good.
fuck.
Right. Andy, if you get this one right, we go to a tiebreaker. Who mows the Szalinski's lawn?
Oh, the wee cunt.
That's him. That's not what I've got written down.
Tommy.
Tommy, you got
Oh, no way!
it. We go to
I was going to
tiebreaker.
guess Stephen.
I'm doing way better. I thought these were quite hard, these. So well done. That's 3. You got 3 out of 5 each. So we're not a tiebreaker.
He's cheating, he's got his phone.
Oh, well, good luck for him in this one then. Tiebreaker question. I need you both to tell me what the Szalinski's phone number is. Now it's 555 and then 4 numbers. So each of you give me your guess. 555 and then your 4 numbers. And whoever's closer gets the point.
6334.
6334. That used to be my old PIN number on my bank card.
4758.
And he says 4758. So if I look at this quickly, I will do it. In fact, Chris's number is closer numerically, and he also has 1 digit in the right place. So Chris wins. It was 555-3771. So Chris wins on the
Bullshit.
phone number tiebreaker by being over
Shenanigans.
1,000 out or getting 1 out of 4 digits. So Chris is the victor.
Cheating
That was
bastard.
fucking tough, like.
Yeah. They might not always be that tough, but yes, I thought instead of trying to find what is the littlest thing I can find quiz. We get this.
I know what? That's what I would have done.
I would have done bigger or smaller.
The smallest children in Hollywood or something like that, like what it was. There we go, quiz over. Chris is a 1-0 lead for the season, and we'll see how it goes. Point 6 on the podcast, movies within movies. I run through the parodies and references and something else new. Parodies and references difficult for me. Wizard of Oz, they directly quote it. To have and to have not. That was the put your lips together and blow comes from that initially, because I was like, I know that from something, but to have and have not. Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, because the little kids getting zapped by things. And then Ant-Man just kept jumping out at me how much Ant-Man had taken from this film. I hadn't realised till I watched it back. And my new thing I'm going to do for movies and movies, what's never not good? An element of every film we watch that it's successful whenever you see it. And for this one, the thing that's never not good, something that's meant to be small being really, really big. It always works. Like, it's a massive Lego brick or it's a massive dog biscuit. It's like always works in every film. So never not good, gigantic little things. Chris, what have you got for us?
Well, you're probably going to pull me up in this, but the only person I saw, I only did like the main cast and then go looking around. But Rick Moranis, I could see, oh, here we go, was the only person from the return. He was in the Little Shop of Horrors.
It was very good, Chris. I'm very happy with this one. This
You've dived like
this
on
is
the
a-
dog or something.
I literally have the last person in the credits we have had before. The final person on the credits. The last name on the credits, Frank Welker. Now he's very famous. He does animal
Voices.
noises. Yeah, voice actor.
Ah,
So he plays like your ants and stuff like that in this film. He's been in 2 films we've done before. Now, one came out of nowhere. I need to mention it because this will never come up again, I imagine, or might never come up again. He was in Tank Girl.
Hey.
Special voice effects in Tank Girl in like, what was that, 4th episode or something like that, I think, Tank Girl.
Yeah.
But he was also, this is one, I'm surprised you might go on this way. He did voices for Shao Kahn and Reptile in Mortal Kombat. So I
How'd
don't
you
know
miss
what
that, Chris?
I didn't go. I literally went with the kids, the Zalinskis, and the Thompsons. That was it. I didn't go any further down the list. There's only like another 2 people in the film.
Yeah, there's not much in the way of cast, but yeah, Frank Welker at the end. Yeah, I don't know. I guess he was animal noises or something for them as well. But yeah, he's in Mortal Kombat, which I thought was kind of funny. Have you recast this, Chris?
I have. Well, I see myself as a little bit of Wayne Szalinski. That's quite a wee guy. And Andrew is definitely Big Russell. So we've got our little dynamic going still. You were a lot harder to put into a place, Bruce. So I just put you as Big Russell's fish friend.
He was called Donald. Which is a trend. My father, whose name is also Donald, Donalds are always weirdos or like just kind of saps and everything. It's always a bad name. It's like, oh, this guy's a prat. Let's call him Donald. So
I didn't want to do the kids that Shrunk because obviously it would just be the 2 guys. So I went elsewhere.
I went down a similar route where you're definitely Rick Moranis' character, but I just thought the idea of you looking for me and Andy who have been shrunk. That's like our first feature film. I want that to be it. Honey, I shrunk the podcast. I don't know, but yeah, you looking for me and Andy is what I put down for us. Under recasting, I've got Andy's name written here. As in Andy's got a feature for recasting.
So basically, rather than doing movies within movies and linking it to like other stuff and try and make a long-winded chain of an actor going through multiple films, I've decided to just pick an actor, take their character out, and then drop another one of their characters in, and we then discuss to see if it would change the dynamic of this film.
Okay.
So originally, I was going to go easy, Rick Moranis, take him out and put him in as Rick Moranis from Ghostbusters. But I feel like
literally just thinking that now.
he is the same character, so it would make absolutely no difference, really.
He pretty much plays the same person, just slightly different.
Exactly. So what I decided to do is take Russ out, so like Father Russ, and then put him in as Max Headroom.
Right.
I feel like it would change the dynamic of his character quite a lot.
He'd be a lot more hateable, I think. The Max Headroom is really annoying. So yeah.
You just imagine if there was like proper like plastic head just going around screaming.
Kind of cackling and all the fence.
So that would be my one, just to change the film up slightly.
It'd be kind of like the opposite of Wilson from Home Improvement, where you don't see his face, you don't see his head the entire time, just above the top of the fence.
Just kicking off from the other side of the fence.
And I definitely feel like little Russ would just be wanting to get away from him as well. Like, just get me out of here. I want to stay. At the end of the film, I want to stay Shrunk. You guys go on without me. I'm going to stay here with Ant, who died. We'll save him for that film.
So yeah,
but yeah, I definitely.
That's my new theme going forward. Obviously, we get more diverse characters. There's very few people that kind of transcended big roles here, because Rick Moranis basically plays the same person in every film. Very well, but the same person.
Yeah, he's good at it. Yeah, exactly. Well, maybe we can expand a bit on this. The 0.7 on the podcast.
We should put a warning here for people that
are offended easily.
Woke culture.
0.7 is Andy's trigger warning. Is 0.7 on the podcast, and take the trigger warning as a warning, and just tread carefully, listeners and everyone who is watching here. You can turn off at any point. Don't worry. We've now got your click or your view or your listen.
But also,
Andy, carry on.
Don't try and get us cancelled because we bring up some touchy subjects that people do not want to talk about on the internet these days in case they get cancelled. It's not why we're here.
We have the guts to discuss it over here.
However, my first point on my triggered point here in this one is obviously they're remaking this film. Okay. Now, one thing I noticed massively in this film is a severe lack of ethnic diversity.
Not much diversity at all, no.
Including, I watched this twice just to make sure, not one non-white male or female in this film at all.
The police officers would be the only way I would go with it, but are they both white as well?
But they were both white, but even he was at a big seminar talking about his little shrinkery.
Of course.
Not one person. There is
Jeez.
not a Chinese person, there's not an Indian person, there's not a black person, nothing. All white. As white as you can get.
The whitest film ever made. Every
So
casting.
somehow we've inadvertently picked the whitest film. Well, we didn't pick, but our viewer picked the
Yeah.
whitest film I've ever seen in my life, I reckon. I don't think I've ever, not knowingly gone for it, however. But my question to you guys is,
Even the Scorpion wasn't black.
yeah, it was. But my question to you guys is, this is going to get remade. We 100% know the way the culture is going, that this will have either mixed race family or at least have some ethnic diversity. Do you think that's okay? Would it change the film in any way, shape, or form?
It's going to be The Neighbours. I think Rick Moranis is in it. I'm not sure.
Was he coming back?
I believe he's involved.
I know he's
because it was
he's came out of
he's out of
retirement.
Yeah. So, but I don't know. If I'm making the film, I'm making that he is the neighbour to the film, as in probably, like you say, a new ethnic race, whether it be a black family, Hispanic family, whatever, is where the film starts. And then there's crazy old Dr. Wayne next door has this machine that accidentally shrinks them. That's probably how I would think they're going to go about it. But yeah, it'll be The Neighbours. But yeah, you're right. It's going to be like, I think he's in it. If he's not in it, I don't know how they're going to do it otherwise, because they'll have to change the whole thing.
Yeah.
I don't think it needs to be. Suburban setting is kind of where it has to be, though.
And I get that back in like 1989s, there probably wasn't that many, like that would have been a white community, and that's just the way it
Yeah.
was. But like it just shocked me when, like this day and age, you would have had a diverse cast, but then when you even went to the meeting, all white
Yeah.
people.
Because
So-
like even like we're all too young to really know, I guess. But even 1989, surely there were like black businessmen. Like
Exactly.
It's not like a late 20th century invention. Like 1980s, surely there'd have been someone there. So yeah, it's a bit of an issue there.
Yeah, and the black guy invented the traffic lights, so there's definitely inventors out there. Fun fact for
I
you.
don't know that. There we go.
Chris is
has
staying
been
quiet. He's
No,
trying-
if as long as it's not like obviously like you get like a whole white cast and you get one person who's a different colour, that's obviously shoehorned in just to make it different. But if it's not shoehorned in and it's a decent actor, yeah, I'm all for it. Go
That's
for
the
it. Just-
that's the thing. This segment through this podcast is just going to get me saying stuff like, if they do this again, it can't be an all black cast because it just won't work. It's not how
Yeah.
it is.
It
It's
really
like-
needs Rick Moranis. I don't think I would want to see the film if Rick Moranis is
Yeah.
not in it. Not that he's like, oh my god, that film is so great because of him. It's just like I associate his face with the Honey I Shrunk.
Yeah.
Exactly, and that's where I'm going with this whole thing. It's just like, but I just don't want it to be like the female Ghostbusters where they've put
Ugh.
feminist power out there just for the hell of it. I don't want them to do this because there was not one black person in the original. We're just going to put all black people in this new one because also
Yeah.
that does not help anybody.
Exactly. And also the funny thing with Ghostbusters was the funniest guy and it was the funniest person and it was the only guy who was in it
Yep.
as well. Chris Hemsworth stole the movie after all.
yeah.
Oh, there we go. I think we've covered that quite politely. On to point 8. It's our nominations. We are as far away as possible from a Pointy Awards, so this is a fresh start. I've not added any new categories. I've just stuck with the old ones.
I might have actually. I don't know.
I just make them up as I go along.
Yes, exactly. I don't have a lot of nominees, so I'll just run through what I've got. Best costume. Wayne's hat with his binoculars attached. Yeah, I thought that was great. And the way he just carried on. Like the person was across the garden, he just kept talking to them and then went back to his garden again. It was really good. I'm nominating the B for worst special effects just because we have that as a category. It might not make the final cut of the award ceremony. Most underused, though, I actually haven't mentioned this far. Rick Moranis is actually not in this film an awful lot. It is mainly about the kids. And
Yeah.
I would. They do in the second one. I have my chronology of the Honey I whatever movie.
Honey, I blew up the kid's second one.
Yeah.
And then Shrink Ourselves. Is that
Yes.
the third one, or
Yeah,
yeah, right.
Yeah.
So I think it might have been better if maybe him and the son had been shrunk. I know the title of the film goes, whatever. But yeah, I think it needed a bit more Rick Moranis being a bit wacky. I thought
See, I think it kind of works. He's not in it too much where it's just the Rick Moranis show. And it's about the kids, but he's still wacky enough in the little bits that he's in that it makes it fun still.
yeah.
He still steals the show.
There you go. Best sets. Hard to nail it down. Let's nominate the film. The best, the little big sets or the big little sets. They were the best thing. Most annoying kid, which I forgot to mention earlier. Continuing the trend of 80s films having the worst names for kids. Ron.
Yep.
like in the Burbs, probably the film most similar to this that we've done, there was a kid called Dave. There's a kid called Ron. Like, how many children are called Ron? Doesn't work. He was annoying. He was a pain in the arse the entire way through. It's just one of them faces as well. I can say that because I was 4 years old when the film came out, so I could do that. Best supporting, I'm going for Matt Frewer as Big Ross Thompson because I thought he was essentially the hero of the film. And the best inanimate object, I've got to nominate the laser machine thing as the best inanimate object to get us
I was
rolling
definitely
on
putting
that one.
You stole that one from me.
There we go. All right, any others then, Andy? Follow one from those.
Biggest bell end, Tommy with his grass cutting escapades.
He's the biggest bell end, is he?
He's.
He said he'd be back later. It's the
didn't
next.
know.
I know. That's why he's a double big bell end. He didn't do what he did. Then he said, "Oh yeah, like I'll cut it now," and it seems like he's doing it like first thing on a Sunday morning. Like, what kid's up
He's not
that
doing a
early?
very good job. He's just going round in circles.
Exactly. But also, that's not a nomination. I don't think I'd fit it into a category. The one thing that annoyed me all the way through this film is they keep talking about how the grass is out of control and it's so long. It's pretty damn short. So
But also, it's not that big to necessitate him inventing.
no,
Like, in the time he took to invent that, he probably could have cut it, 6 times over? Like, that's
Yeah.
a lot of time wasted. And he's not saving himself much time after that, because he's still got to stand there,
yeah.
like, doing it up and down. So, yeah, it's not the best invention.
But yeah,
ever.
so that's not really a thing, but segue. But yeah, biggest bell end's definitely Tommy. Worst father figure, Rick Moranis, because he should have put a lock on that attic door. I feel like a deadly shrinking laser should have had some kind of latch or lock on that door.
Because it was literally deadly when he last was at it. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it was killing things that it was shooting at. So,
Well,
yeah.
that's
At least-
the film. Imagine him walking into the room with his bed splatters everywhere. Oh, what the
So-
hell happened here?
So yeah, he's definitely got to be worst father figure award there because like he just unplug it. There's loads of things he could have done. He left that thing activated and the door with no lock on it. So pretty bad father figure there. Best sets, I agree with you, but I'm going to specifically pick the garden, like the grass and shit like that.
Okay.
Because that was pretty good and it didn't annoy me as much as the floorboard scenes and stuff like that. What other categories is there? Pretty much, I think you covered everything.
I think there weren't like things like worst cop. I mean, they weren't very good, but it didn't exactly
Oh,
jump
I've-
out at me.
Strap yourselves in. I've
All right.
got them.
All right.
Lead on, Chris. Off you go.
Well, I agree with my most annoying kid, Ron. I've gone for a worst kiss between Amy and Wee Russell because that was just awful to watch.
She was full on go. She grabbed him by the back of the head, like.
Yeah.
And some of the looks she was throwing at him as well. It was like Rosamund Pike in bloody Fracture or something.
Well, my worst cops, like if someone puts in a missing child phone call or a report, and then when
Aye.
you go to check them, say, "Oh no, they're in the back garden," would you not, as a cop, go, "Do you mind if I check just to see?"
Well,
No,
especially if
"Oh,
he
that's
came
just
out with
check."
that headgear on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the wife just faints behind them. No, everything seems hunky dory here. I'll just leave it.
One of the bit of trivia Easter eggs is on the I guess the patrol car screen with the 2 kids that are missing. There's like a other reports involving like the name
Oh yeah, I noticed that. 12
It's-
counts of
noise complaint or whatever it is,
Yeah.
or disturbing peace, which you would assume are from the neighbour.
Yeah.
to get the noise down. I thought it was a nice little Easter egg. I missed it, but I read it.
I read it as I was watching the film. I've gone for best set is the Lego block, but I've conceded like the whole garden scenes. It was quite good. I've gone for worst plan is telling a dog to stay back as you then stand inches away from a laser as you shoot it. And it's just blown up apples, so it could just blow up in his face.
I did struggle to find the best plan. Like that's our worst plan. There has to be a bad plan in here somewhere, but I was kind of like,
It's
the
not really a
kids,
bad plan. It's just
yeah, the kids
stupid.
not having a plan was a problem because they just generally just bumbled their way around trying to get home. But it's not the best idea.
This might be a new one. I can't remember, but I've added Big Hero. Me Russell saving Amy's life. Yeah, there you go.
See, if you're going to put that as a category, I'm putting Anty in there. He saved them all.
Well, kind of, but one of them just jabbed the scorpion in the face with a stick and it ran away. Anty was already dead.
No, Anty saved them.
It's like save him, so he runs up, jabs him, and then he died. Did nothing to change what happened. if hero-wise, I'm going Big Russ. He was like, willingly shoot me with the laser first here. Like he was like, this is untested. Shoot me. I think he's a hero.
This category is a bad one. Everybody's got something different.
Some arguments here for the hero. Any more, Chris?
Yeah, no, that was my last one.
That's one. On to point 9 then. Moral of the story. I don't know if I'm going to be doing haikus, but I really struggled for a moral for this one here. So I just went, don't leave science experiments unattended. I feel like that's the only. But I didn't really feel like the kids were learning any sort of lessons. It's just like our neighbours aren't arseholes. Seemed to be the lesson to learn. But then I thought something Ron was. Who's next? And Andy, what's your moral of the story?
Don't invent weird shit. Like, that's how we've got COVID. That's how
Yeah.
we've got like black holes getting made in fucking wherever, Switzerland or wherever the fuck that is. That's why we've had nuclear bombs blowing up people. Just stop inventing weird shit. We don't need it. Stop it.
What about you, Chris? What's your moral?
The early worm catches the fish.
Which I was like, wait a minute. I was like, oh no, that
I know.
does work. It actually does work. Finally, 10th point is our 10-point rating, where we rate the movie out of 10. Again, nobody picked it, so they can't go first. So alphabetically, I've got Andy first.
It's a bang average film. It's still quite fun to watch. It's not aged terribly, but it's a 5.
5 from Andy. Me next. You've kind of gone where I've gone. I've gone, it's dated, I think. I think it's really, not just the CGI, but the whole, that nowadays you'd have to do something a bit more with the story. Like the idea was there, which worked, but nowadays it needs to be expanded on a bit. But the whole thing was harmless. And it's a very good one. I'm assuming for kids. I'm assuming Chris might come on to that in his one. But I feel like it's a good family film. It's like, it's not a cartoon, but it's a film you can watch with kids, I think. But I'm only going a 4 because I think it's just not quite as good as maybe a 5 out of 10 for me. Chris, what have you got?
Well, at the time of writing this, I didn't realise they were doing a remake of it. I feel like I really hope they don't remake this because, like, excluding like the older models of cars and stuff and the computers, like I think this movie looks fine now.
Even like when
Like,
he's using his calculator, it looks like he's using a tablet, like something
Ah, yeah, that's a
fancy.
good point. Yeah, I think the technology's fine. I just feel like the actual structure of the film might just be a bit dated. I think there are certain bits that are action-packed as such, but sort of. carry on.
I say, like I've said more than once, like the sets I thought were brilliant, and it shows that movies can be made without green screen. A lot of green screen is the odd little bit, but
Yeah.
like the actual, with them physically walking through the garden, it looks like they've been shrunk. They've done that much of a good job. But again, you can't really watch film just for that. But it's like Andy says, it's an average film. The story's kind of average. I've given it a 5 as well.
5 as well. So that'll be a 5 overall. Final score, a 5 out of 10 for Punishment the Kids.
He is
from the
excited for this next part.
And
Oh,
that was a random pick, so we don't have to mention anyone's themes. We are, all 3 of us, going to pick 5 films each, and we're going to try and theme them for the other 2 to try and guess. And for,
I'm now 3 successful themes picked.
you have, yeah, you've. We have never got you yet. Despite the fact that I think we actually picked a better
yeah.
film than you did last time. But yeah, so feel free to guess. Send in tweets and comments on videos if you want to try and guess the themes as well. But with the viewer picks, that'll be a week off from trying to work out what everybody's theme is. But leading us off is Chris this season. He's got pick number 1.
well,
So Chris, why don't you tell us?
I had my film like locked down since the end of last season, but because I now have to have a theme, it doesn't work.
You voted in favour
Yeah,
of themes. Like,
you don't have that theme.
You decided as a unit to the themes.
Well, so I've had to change my plan, and I'm now being super ambitious. I've got 2 themes on the go. Because I couldn't have my other pick, I've gone for District 9.
Oi!
Very good. I was at one stage going to pick this, but it has yet to fit in.
It has been incepted more than once, I'm sure, because it has come up a lot.
I literally put it in a chat we did one time. Back.
Yeah. Is your theme films that have your name in them?
Not just my name. I knew you'd get instantly from that one. That's why I've done a second theme.
So is it films with all of our names in it as the characters?
Oh, I can change that now. I can just do my first theme. It was going to be.
Oh, it's going to be our names show up, right? Okay.
Yeah. That was easy.
Oh well.
I'll find out why next week.
I didn't even watch the film, and
I suppose I'll tell you why. Like, we watched this film in the cinema, and as we watched it, one of the guy goes, Christopher Johnston, and I'm not joking. There was me, Nicola, Sean, Bly, and Andy, and they all just went like that and looked at me. Exactly. So that's why I picked this.
let's see.
So it means I could change. I can ignore that theme now. I'm going to go for my first theme.
Good. I'm glad because I think me and Andy have discussed this before. Andy's told me his side of your story that you said there, so I knew. And I wanted to pick this as well, so I'm glad it's been selected. There we go.
Well, I mean, now means that the film I was going to pick, I can now use later on. So.
So everyone has back on the normal routine. 7 days. Find yourself District 9, not District 9.
That's a long one.
And we'll catch you next week on the 10 Point Podcast.